I remember my final deployment. I came back and I obviously suffered from PTSD. I was stressing out during the deployment, the last deployment. And that was in 2008. And there was a lot of factors to it. But long story short, they sent me back home, and it was clear I had PTSD, but they wanted me back on deployment. They wanted me to be ready to go back wherever they needed me to go back on. Because we can call left and right over there. And they basically would tell us to tell the doctors that we were fine. And we would do it.
It's almost like you were getting punished for being good at your job.
Yeah, well, it does something to you. Like I said, we talked about it before. It does something to you when you go on these deployments. It does something to you. You get used to things that you're normally not supposed to be used to.
It desensitizes.
Well, not just desensitize you. It puts you on alert the entire time. That's sort of. I had to read a book on this so I can understand it myself. But like, it puts you in a state of like
anxiety,
fight or flight?
anxiety.
Like you're in that fight or flight. Yeah, that's perfect. Fight or flight, like anxiety, stuff like that, and you don't know how to shut that off, and you can't. That's why a lot of the veterans are killing themselves. They don't know what else. You lose your, like, especially when you get out the military, you lose your purpose or what you perceive as your purpose.
And when you say a lot, I don't know if everybody knows like how many it is. I used to work with a charity called the 22, and 22 people, 22 veterans a day.
That was the
every
average.
Single day.
That was the average.
Yeah,
that was the average, and it's not even just from our war. Like,
it's unreal.
Yeah, and like, I don't talk about it too much, but I was almost a statistic. I actually hung myself, and luckily the thing broke, and I ended up going to the VA. They Baker acted me for like 2 weeks, I think.
So wait. So
Holy shit.
When you got out of the military,
I was homeless. That was it. My life was over. I was homeless. I got out in 2009. I was homeless in California. I drove from California to South Carolina. I was able to get up enough money. And then they didn't leave me any money. I ended up going to South. Don't get me wrong, I understand why. They were going to recoup the bonus, so I had to pay a bunch of money back and stuff. They took my leave money. I stayed up like 54 days of leave. That should have gave me like $3,000, but they didn't do that. So I didn't have enough money to get back home. So I was able to get some money. I drove all the way from California to South Carolina. Wow. Things didn't work out there. I was having these nasty flashbacks, man. It was bad. They gave me like quetiapine and like trazodone and stuff like that, which made it worse. I was having hallucinations and shit. And then I ended up going to beg. My mom didn't want nothing to do with that, so I was out on the street. And there were people who helped me, but generally I ended up on the street. So went to Arizona. I don't even know why the fuck I went to Arizona. I went to Arizona.
You're just searching for something, man.
Well, my ex-fiance was out there. I thought I was like, she was in the Navy with me, maybe, and then it didn't work out. So I was homeless in there. That's the worst place to be homeless is Arizona.
Hot.
It's not just hot. It's almost illegal. Every time I tried to fall asleep, there's a cop shining a light in my window. There's a tall black male in here. And it's like, you can't sleep here. You can't sleep. So
what's your thinking there? I mean, here you are literally going all over the world fighting for the country. You come back.
And that's
the bravest and the baddest, the ones who are sacrificing the most and then tossed out. Like, thanks, see you later.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. It should have a lifetime pension.
Yeah, and it was crazy. So we end up, and they take care of, like, the VA takes care of me now. But like like I said, it took me years because we had to fight them too. So we had to end up coming to South Florida. It's funny. I was watching Burn Notice, and that's how I was like, got the idea to move to Miami. Went there.
It's a great show.
Yeah, I love that show.
Yeah.
Hated Miami though. So I found my way to Fort Lauderdale, and I lived in a halfway house off and on until I was able to get myself on my feet. I went to college. I went to Kaiser University. That helped me get the GI Bill. I was able to build from there. I started doing jiu-jitsu not too long after, which that's a funny story within itself. Because I ended up going the wrong way. I was looking for a place to sleep, and I saw Team Popovich on Oakland Park Boulevard.
So you're literally homeless.
Yeah, I was literally homeless. I was looking for a place to sleep, and there was Team Popovich sitting right there. I remember it was December 2010. 2011, February 2011, late February is when I started jiu-jitsu.
Interesting.
Loved it so much. I trained literally 2-3 times a day, and it took me 5 years, and I got my black belt.
And you're an absolute savage on the mat.
Yeah, loved it.
So
I fell in love with it. It was crazy, and that's what helped my life. My life got better. Yeah. I started meeting people. I was competing. I started getting recognized. I started like working and stuff like that. You know,
you found that community. You found that purpose.
Yeah, it's the same camaraderie I had in the military. It's structured. You know where you stand. You have ranks. There's the head guy, that's the general. Then you got the little white belts, those the pawns. That's me. At the time. You can work your way up. It was the same exact thing. It was great. So that's how I was able to rebuild my life. So
you know, getting back to the nasty here. I mean,
of course.
You know, I've been in a dark place as well. Not as dark as that, but I mean the thinking that goes into actually putting the noose around your neck. Were you drinking? Were you doing drugs? Were you?
No, matter of fact, I didn't get drunk until my wedding back when I was 34.
Wow,
that's the first time I got drunk.
Well, good, because nobody could carry you big.
I was on raw emotions, man. No drinks, no drugs, man. I just didn't want to be there no more. So I started to get my life together. It was like, so what led to that was I was living in Columbia at the time. My mom,
South Carolina.
Yeah, it's in South Carolina, and I found a little place. It was nice. It was buried in the back. I said, no one's gonna bother me. It's in off of 2 Notch Road. Never forget. And I had a job. It was a small job. Just doing like basically boxing up things and stuff at night and stuff like that. So I went in one Friday, got my last check, came back Monday. It was closed. That's when the recession hit.
2008.
Lost my apartment 2 weeks later. So my last day of my apartment, I hung myself.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad. And then I woke up. The noose had broke. I woke up, came to, realized that was fucking stupid. My neck sore. Just cuts on my neck and shit. I'm like right here and stuff. They healed up pretty good. So I end up going to the VA.
Smart.
Yeah, and then, which actually made things a little bit worse, to be honest, because the VA in Columbia at the time was pretty bad. So that was
you had nobody to reach out to at the time. There was nobody. You know, you said you weren't getting along with your mom. You had broken up with your fiance.
Yeah, there was nothing, no one.
So what would you say to somebody that's, you know, God forbid, listening to us right now, feeling in a similar situation? What should they do? Like how do they recognize what they're feeling? You know, and then what process would you recommend that they go through to kind of, you know, avoid getting to that point?
I'll tell you what I did. I don't know. Everybody's different for everybody, but what I did was after, you know, I got the help I needed, I talked to somebody. That was the hardest thing, because especially I know it's the race card, but being in a black community that's stigmatized, because at the time, it was like you should be strong, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's amongst men, but definitely in the black community, that's
it's the Irish community.
No,
too,
that's
yeah. I say it's amongst men in general. Yeah, that's why men are more likely to commit suicide. We don't really have anyone to talk to, so you need to find someone to talk to, work things out.
Well, 80%. It's not just a little bit. I think
yeah,
80% of all suicides.
Yeah, all suicides are males. So that's why I learned. That's one of the first things I learned, actually. And then I actually read books about it. Like one guy I remember going to the VA, and I remember talking to this guy. He said, "You want to learn about your condition? You need to read about it." Read from the other veterans that went through it and stuff like that. So that's what I did. And then as I read through it and I talked to the right people, they medicated me. So one of the things I learned was to actually get off the medication. That was what was messing me up. I couldn't sleep like properly. When I would sleep, I would have these vivid nightmares and stuff. Like that was, so it's like, nah, you need to stay off that stuff, because they're drugging you. They're experimenting on you. They don't even know what to give you.
Wow.
Yeah, so that helped. Diet changes, and then they said you need to go find something to do. You're a man. Go find some shit to do. Go work out.
That's not a small thing. You know, men need purpose. We have to feel like we're doing something. We have to feel useful. We have to feel a part of a community, either building our community through family or being a part. There's something in us that is inherently
purpose.
It's purpose driven.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, you got a purpose.
When people don't have that purpose or they lose that purpose, there's a massive void. You know, and it's not just in the military. I mean, you talk about guys, you know, we talked about this on a couple podcasts ago. There's dudes I played with that were first-round draft picks, man. You know, these are, you know, guys that are role models. These are guys that have done everything right their whole life. And, you know, they get hurt. And they start taking pills to like play through the pain, and nobody considers them a drug addict. Nobody considers them anything like that. There's guys I played with that didn't go through anything that traumatic, but they just when you get cut, that's it. The team's done with you.
Yeah,
you can't hang out with your friends anymore. That's it. They give you a ticket home, and hey, good luck to you, bud. And it's a really weird place to be, because you have nobody to talk to, because everybody's like, what are you complaining about? You got to live out your dream. All right, come join the real world with the rest of us. And it's not that easy transition.
Boring.
Yeah, you know, you can't go from being on a $1 billion destroyer, you know, traveling the world to then coming back to Columbia, South Carolina and working a menial job and feeling like, all right, well, I'm lucky.
Yeah, I remember those adrenaline rushes, man. I remember, like, first time being in like a real firefight. I remember the first time being in Cuba. I remember being surrounded by all these people who had purpose. I would do something and it would, like, literally, I remember I would track contacts. Stupid small job. You're sitting there staring at a screen, and then you press a button, you track this contact, and then everybody hears, and then all of a sudden the ship lights up, and then you got all these things, and it's like you started that. That was your purpose. Your purpose was to find this, like, little things like that. That meant something to me. And then you go to, okay, I'm boxing up shit. No one's gonna know I did this shit.
Boxing up shit.
Was jiu-jitsu a big part, like a big, like very helpful to you? Like having the community, having, like, you know what I mean? So I always talked about jiu-jitsu, like when I first started, it was like such an outlet, and like it was like therapy. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was like you have to be so focused on not getting choked. You can't think about any other problems you might have. You know what I mean?
Because when you started, your family life was kind of up in upheaval as well, right?
Yeah.
With jiu-jitsu, it gave me a different focus, especially when I'm doing jiu-jitsu. Like, my wife, she makes a joke. She says jiu-jitsu is my first and only love, and I'm like, well, you're right.
Married to the game, baby.
Yeah, you're lucky jiu-jitsu isn't a person. I would definitely you be the deciding woman. I'm just joking.
And now you train some incredible fighters as well. You work with a lot of great fighters. You train them. Now you competed. Now,
and those endorphins too. Like, kind of I think the last time we were talking about like with mental health and stuff, like getting that exercise and, like, you know what I mean, like getting those endorphins and stuff. That shit, I know I'm addicted to endorphins.
Well, there's a certain amount of toughness too. I got so much respect for you, and I got so much respect for him because, you know, look, I'm an asshole. I'll fight anybody anytime, but to do it every day.
Yeah,
like I'm
2
not
times a day.
I compete.
Yeah,
I've
bro.
competed before.
Like,
I don't compete as much anymore.
I used to mess with Mick, man. Like, you know, I'd go roll around with you, and then he'd go to play pickleball with me later, and I couldn't move, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, this is my day every day. Try that 3 times a day and do it for 10 years, then see how you feel." And I'm like, "But my legs hurt."
It's different. Yeah, it's a whole different lifestyle. And it comes with a sacrifice. It's like a double-edged sword. Yeah, I grapple with it every day, and no pun intended. Literally, it's like, I'm going to train for 5 hours, and my mind is going to be great, but, you know, now I can't sit on my ass because my legs hurt, and I want to play video games.
Do you ever, I mean, your life is in such a different place right now than it was 10 years ago. You got a wife, you got kids, you got a beautiful house, you know, you got a business, American Combat Gym, you know, like. Yeah.
My life came a long way, and I'm one of those guys. I'm like a growth. I hate to use the term growth mindset. I'm one of those guys. I don't really care about the destination. I'm more about the journey. And like the destination was to get a house, get a family, get a car. The one thing I always wanted was an electric car. I got the electric car, and now I'm just kind of like cruising now. See what else comes along.
What would you say to 2009 Devin if you could talk to him? What would you say?
Sure, I just tell him everything gonna be all right.
Everything gonna be all right.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
But in 2009, there's no way you thought that was true.
I didn't think I'd be here today.
Yeah.
I didn't see myself. I thought I'd be in prison or dead, or definitely dead. Definitely would have tried it again, more than likely. Like, I had to find purpose.
Pretty incredible that, you know, you didn't resort to drugs or alcohol or anything like that. You didn't look for any.
I didn't even smoke weed until a few years ago.
Which is weird because you look like Rasta.
Yeah, right.
Ja.
I grew this out because I wanted to try something new. Now I smoked weed for like a year and some change. It wasn't for me. I root for people who do it. I think you should, like, definitely support it. You know, everybody, it should be legal, but it's not for me.